Hello? Hello? Is this thing working? I'm joking, I'm joking. Right, let's just move some of this stuff around. So what this is the place where I work has been looking into AI for writing code, editing code. So I'm kind of on the fence with uh, that whole AI coding thing. Now, what that means is I'm not a fanboy of it, but I'm not anti-AI either. I'm still undecided as to how good/bad it is. Now, there's lots out there that's good. Like I use it daily. Um, if, for example, I'm doing like a fairly big SQL query and I don't want to sit there for 10, 15 minutes typing it all out, I know I can just ask an AI bot to do it, but I'm not going to take that code and run it and say, "Yep, that's exactly what I want." I'm going to read through it because AI makes things faster, but it's definitely not correct all the time. Um, Again, I'm not just saying this like, as if I'm not anti-AI. It says it on every agent you go on ChatGPT or any of them. At the bottom, it always has a little faint disclaimer below that box where you're typing in, and it says like it may not get things right. So the warnings are there that it's not to be taken as 100% accurate. Now, what I decided to do is, as I've got the week off, I've wanted to write an app for a while and just never got around to it. Just couldn't find the time. So I figured now's the time for me to play around with AI and see if I can get this written. So what I am going to do is share my screen. I'm going to jump to here. And what I've done so far, this is just a quick Node.js, and it's not a working app. It's not what I want it to look like, but it's kind of a mock to let you see what it is that I'm actually aiming for. And let me just flip that to the live chat. So, to my 0 viewers, um, so here's the code I've thrown together. All this is a basic, there's 3 HTML pages, and I've got a server JS that is just, as you see, like there's barely anything there. It's just dealing with the routing, going to different pages, and it writes to a JSON file. Anything that I type in there is literally just creating a JSON file. Now, the app I want to do is going to look a lot better, probably linked to a database, but we're going to build it bit by bit. So what I'm going to do in here is do node server JS. And as we see, that is now up and running. So I'm going to bring this over here. So this is, as you see, it's not pretty. This is purely a concept thing. So the idea of this app is hobbies. Now, I have several hobbies. When I look, one of them is slingshots. So let's give you an example here. So I would have in my hobby slingshots. Um, there's items that are needed for that hobby. I need a slingshot frame. I need latex. I need pouches. I need ammo. So all these things, if you think, sort of relate to it like inventory in a store. Like you need those things to do your hobby. If you're making things out of clay, you need to know, well, I'm going to be making whatever, a figure, a small figure out of clay. Oh, well, I might need black to do like the pupils of the eyes. Do I have any black? And then you've got to go hunting through wherever it is you've got, seeing if you've got any black. So think of this kind of like that. It's an inventory for your hobbies, but I have several hobbies, and like again for slingshots, there's several things I need, like latex for the bands that you shoot. with, they come in different thicknesses. So I want to know, okay, like, do I have the right thickness for what I want to do? If I'm inside just shooting, I only want 0.45 millimeter latex because that's nice and loose. If, let's say, I was going out and shooting long distance or needed more power, I put it up to like a 0.6, 0.7 millimeter band. So without going around and looking through drawers, if you've got carving, so you get the idea. This is kind of an inventory app um, for your hobbies. So this is the main dashboard. All I've got is a basic page, and that, as I said, it may not look like this in the end. The whole process of this is to use AI to build this app that I've mocked up. And I've got a dashboard here. And I've got woodworking, I've got a chisel, type 1. As you see, it's not even perfect. So chisel, type 1, 2, 3, saw, blah blah, and this is meant to say size. So again, like this isn't perfect. I threw it together very quickly. So an example. Let's go back. Let's do config, add hobby. So let's just, for this little demo app, and again, anyone just joining late in, this isn't the app that I built with AI. This is a mock-up for me to kind of get a good idea. So I'm going to add slingshot. Save items. Now if I go to my dashboard, so now I've got slingshot in there, edit, I'm going to add another item, and I'm going to put latex. Again, like this, it's just thrown together, drop down box, quantity, 200 millimeters. The rolls of latex usually come 2 meters long. Stuff like that. The type 1, type 2, type 3, that would be something like 0.4, 0.5, like whatever it is. So let's just save items. Okay, items saved. Let's go back. Let's just come back to this dashboard. We've got that there. And if I come to my data JSON, as you see, it's just literally building a JSON file. So that is as it is. And this is just Node.js. So what we're going to do is build this app and possibly make it a lot better and a lot prettier using AI. So here I've got VS Code. I've got it all juiced up. So if you've never seen VS Code with this, once you've signed up, you can do view chat, and this brings up this little chat bot. It usually defaults to ask. So this would be an AI just asking it a question. And then we've got our list of all our different AI bots or agents, whatever you want to call them. We're going to go to agent mode. Now, the difference is in ask, I'm just asking a question, just like you might go to Chat GPT web page and type in a question or whatever. That's ask. Agent actually does the thing. So let's have a look. So another thing I want to do with this is I'm going to build this app, and what I'm going to quickly do is open up Joplin. I use Joplin for my notes. Let's just wait for that to start up. And just getting this. So here's some things I started throwing together. Just an idea for the database I was throwing together. This is in plant UML, just to give me a nice little diagram. So what the rules are, I'm going to create the app. Everything I type into that agent, I'm going to put into Joplin. Then, once I've built this first app, I'm going to use exactly the same like copy and paste from here so that I create the app again in something completely different. Like let's say I create it in, I don't know, like Phoenix or Node.js or Django, like whatever the web framework is. Um, yeah, basically going to build it again. Now, the only difference is I'm not going to copy and paste the whole thing because, of course, like I might, let's say, so I'm going to do the first one with Fast API. That's a Python framework. I'm quite interested in it and never used it. So I'm first going to build this with Fast API. Once it's done, now I'm going to have specific things to Fast API, like when it writes the code, as you're going to see in a minute. Once I jump into it, it's going to get things wrong, and there's going to be me asking the AI to fix things based on Fast API. So those things won't be a copy and paste. Let's say tomorrow or another day, I'm then doing it in Node. So I'm only going to use the key ones, like build me an app that blah, blah, blah. Anything that says fix this error, blah, 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 I'm not going to copy because it wouldn't be relevant. So hopefully you'll see as I go along. So here's my notes. I'm going to just add a new note. So Fast API work through. I'm going to move this off to the side, just out of the way. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to go to my dev. I know I'm off screen. I know you can't see it. So we're going to call it Hobby Fast API. I'm going to close folder. Open the folder here. See, that's all I was doing, creating a folder, Hobby Fast API. Now, with web frameworks, usually you would type in a command of some kind and it would build the skeleton. So the first thing I'm not going to do and try and get the AI to do it is build me that beginning framework. I am writing a web application using Fast API. Create all of the main structure so we can begin. So at the moment, I'm using GPT-4. As you see, it's working away, and you can see over on the left, it is actually building what we need. And it's giving me my main.py. So far, so good. Now, what we should do is, let's have a look at Fast API website. Reference. I was just looking to see if it had. So let's have a look. Fast API folder structure. Now, I'm not going to go to it because this is AI again. We want to go to somewhere. Ultimate Fast API tutorial. Project structure. Here we go. So let's have a look just to see what it has done. Structure I found more scale. So this sounds like a pretty big app. So he's done Fast API project source. So he doesn't have app. So we're going to go along. The point of this is to go along with what AI recommends. I just wanted to get a quick idea if anything was actually going to, if it was getting close. So I can't actually say if this is getting close to what it should be. And as I just found out, you can click in the chat and just do arrow up. So I'm just doing in my Joplin. So like here, see, so I'm just going to put these commands in. Right, so for a web app, I'm thinking we need authentication, but let's keep it simple. Let's build it. I will need a dashboard that has tabs. The application is tracking relative data to hobbies. So each tab would be a different hobby. Damn it. And who wasn't? See, you can tell it's live. I wasn't even clicked in the thing. I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to type it into here just so then I have to copy and paste it from here. I'll tell you what, let's do the config page. First of all, I need a config page. This would have fields for, how are we going to word this? This would have fields for add hobby. Let's do it a full thing. So add hobby, edit hobby, delete hobby. Let's say, let's keep it simple. Let's break it down. One of the things I learned early on with playing around with AI at work is just don't give it a, here's my app, here's what I want it to do, here's the pages that you should have. That's when you're going to hit the hallucinations and it just going nuts. Feed it bit by bit. So let's do this. Let's put those in quotes. I know I quickly added the double quotes, but just to show you, we are putting that, or I am putting it in there. So when it comes to it that we're, hold on, pylons detected, type annotations in your code, recommends enabling type check-in. Would you like to do this? Yes. Okay, AI, we are trusting AI fully to do what it needs to do. So again, I'm putting in the exact phrases in my Joplin. MCP server pylons as being, oh, I didn't catch that. All right, configure a Python environment. Recommended option is to create a new Python environment, providing the benefit of isolating packages. So this looks like it's doing the VN for virtual environment. So let's allow in this workspace. So let's see if it creates like a VN or something like that. I'm interested. How is it going to do it? Now, see, I don't know Fast API, but I know Python, so this is kind of going in a good direction from the start. Because that's what I would do, is create a virtual environment. That way I can make sure that I separate what's on my PC globally for Python and what this project has. Let's see, does it? Yes, I don't know if this is actually doing anything. Oh, create a virtual create a virtual environment. VEnv. Oh, I didn't notice that. Conda creates a Conda environment. I've never heard of Conda. Let's do VEnv. I didn't notice that at the top. So 313. Let's go with that. Let's do a requirements. So that's actually pretty good. Now, it didn't highlight to me that it was asking a question up here. I didn't notice it was there. I thought it was going to ask me in here in the chat. Now look, see, it's created the .venv, so that is exactly what I would have been doing if I was doing this manually. Now see, this is where it's going to become interesting because like if I do Node.js or something else, that doesn't have, I know it has an equivalent, but it doesn't use venv. I don't think. I'm more Python. I'm not a JavaScript expert. I kind of know it well-ish, but I know enough to be dangerous. Right, here we go. Similarly, instead of running, right, so install package Python, yes, do that. Config page API is now available with endpoints to add, edit, and delete hobbies. The backend structure is ready and all dependencies are installed. You can now build the front end or test the API endpoints. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep, we're just going to trust it. So, okay, we will, right. Another thing that I'm trying to get out of the habit of with AI is talking to it like it's a human. Um, I think it's just me, old school, like being polite and saying please, thank you, and all that. I'm trying to get out of that habit, and you're talking to a robot, not a human being. Right. Let's build the UI for the config page. Okay, I was wondering that. So looking at this code that it just put, so this is just basic HTML. So config hobby manager. So it's using some CSS and it's put it in static config.css. And we can see here static config.css. UI for the config page is ready. Includes a form to add hobbies, a list to view them, edit, delete buttons. The backend serves the HTML, CSS, and JS at config and static. You can now launch the app and access the config page at config. Would you like to start the server? Yes. Okay, so it's opened up a shell. It's gone into the virtual environment. So any Python people, all right, done activate PowerShell. So yeah, basically done the activate thing. Anyone who knows Python and virtual environments, you go into there. and you start up that virtual environment. So run command in background to uvicorn main app. Start the fast API server. Right. Fast API server is running. Visit, so that's my local 8000 in your browser to use the config page UI. Let me know if you need further customization or help. Well, we know I need help. So we're going to bring this browser back and we're going to go to 127.0.0.1 port 8000. Oh, /config. I mean, I guess it's good that we got this fast API. Oh, okay. So we got a config page. We're getting things started here. So what should we do next? And if anyone is watching, if you want to throw out ideas, like this is a whole live event thing. So hobby ID, I don't like the idea of having to enter the ID. I want that to be a GUID. Right, so we're going to tell the AI to do that. Instead of entering a hobby ID, change this to generate a GUID. Anyone out there not knowing, GUID, globally unique identifier. Right, the config page now generates a GUID or UUID. UUID, I'm assuming universal. Universal unique ID? Guessing, yeah. For new hobby automatically, the user no longer needs to enter a hobby ID, just the name. The back end and front end are both updated for this change. Refresh the config page. When I enter data, no, when I enter a new, enter any data in forms, let's write a JSON file for now whilst this app is in development. We no, see, here's another like where I say I tried to over explaining. I was going to start saying we can move to a database later. That's irrelevant. It's going to start, possibly the AI will start remembering about databases and start doing shit that we just don't want to do right now. So let's do that. Now it does think for quite a while. Of course, it's possibly faster than my. It's definitely faster and more accurate than my typing. But also, this is GPT 4.1. I believe 5 is a lot faster. Now, see, I see it say reloading. I'm wondering, right, hobby data is now saved to a JSON file, hobby.json. When you add, edit, delete a hobby, this allows your data to persist during development. Right, you can continue using the config pages as before. No further changes are needed to the UI. Let me know if you want to adjust the data structure or add more features. Well, we are definitely going to be adding more features. let's right, I'll tell you what, first let's okay, so now we've got this. What I'm gonna do is let's just see if we can get this to somewhere where we can see both. Right, so we've got hobby manager. Where is that JSON file? Schemas? Okay, maybe it hasn't created it yet. Right, so we're gonna go, let's do something universal. What's a hobby? Hobby that has knitting. Let's go with knitting. Add hobby. Okay, and from, so here, so it's calling the API, and it does a get, so it has added a GUID, and it's done knitting. Right, let me reload this page. Right, so that looks ugly. But first of all, let's hobbies.json, there it is. And let's do another one. Let's do, just so we've got two, so we can make sure that the file is correct. What should we add? Gaming, PC gaming, computer gaming. Okay, so we seem to have a broken app. Let's shrink this down, move this over here. Let's just get ourselves a bit more. So let's have a look. Finish server process. Okay, so what we're going to do, and this was part of the plan, right, so when I tried to add a hobby, the JSON file seems incorrect, and the terminal gave me this. Hold down Shift, hit Enter, Control V. So let's let AI figure that out. Okay, so yes, because it's saying should it clear it out? just going to copy that. I'm going to throw that into my Joplin to start the fast API. Here's just putting that command in there. Right, so let's reload this. Right, so just while this is having a think, and I'm going to have a look in a sec, but this startup Unvicorn is the thing that starts up, I believe, because again, I don't know fast API as well. I believe that's the thing that starts up the server, just like with Node.js, you do node and then server.js. Main is like what it would be in the main Python file. Maybe not. Oh, main.py there. So main, and then colon app is what it's calling it here, like app equals fast API. So this here, main app, is looking at the file name and then what I'm actually starting up. Oh, and here's the API calls. So mount static, so it's blah, 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 blah. And then at app get config. Okay, so it's reading. That's our get. Right, I'm going to stop that. Oh, you know why it probably didn't do that? Because it didn't do scripts. There. Let's try that now. Okay. Quest is not finished yet. Okay, so it has broken it. the server is running, but the UI never loads. Okay, so it's reading through the files. So your Fast API backend and static files are set up correctly, but the UI at config. Oh, right, there we go. So it fixed something. See, and this is an example of why, when we go through it again with another agent, why we can't just copy and paste, because this is specific to Fast API. So blah, 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 the static files are not being served due to a path issue. The file response path for config is incorrect. The browser is caching an old broken version. Right, so it wasn't a caching issue because we deleted. So it's having a good guess. Let's fix the static file serving. So it's probably a path issue. We'll update the static files mount and config page route to use absolute paths. Okay. Do I like that it's now moved to use absolute paths? Let's ask it, because like, to me it should be using relative. Why are you using static and not relative paths? Right, so here's an interesting, so it's saying that Fast API uses that. I'm going to copy this because, again, I don't know Fast API that well. I'm going to, like outside of this video, I'm going to look that up to see if that's true. So, but now we do have this back again. So let's just reload. Let's hit F12 just so we get a little debugger. So add hobby. Let's get our knitting back. Now we've got knitting, running. Let's just add a few. Let's just see if this works. So we're getting some errors. In the browser debugger, when I add a new hobby, I am getting a 500 error. Reset the JSON file again. So there seems to be an error with the app itself writing to that JSON file. Hobby's JSON file has been reset, so let's keep that. Can now add new hobbies without backend 500 errors. Okay, race car driving. I am aware that it's config. It seems to be loading forever again. I entered a new hobby and it is not working. Save topics function in your backend should convert UUIDs to strings before saving. I can fix this by updating. Would you like me to apply this fix? Yes, fix it. Now see, here's another thing I'm finding with AI, and it's like, well, it shouldn't be like just that last bit. Python JSON.dump cannot serialize UUID objects by default. The save hobbies function in your backend should convert UUIDs to strings before saving. So why didn't it just do that in the first place? So here's one of those, like, this is, as I'm saying, one of those warnings. Don't trust AI, it just done it, because it done the wrong thing. And then actually admits afterwards, yeah, it shouldn't really do that. Now, it's working through the bugs. This is possibly a proper like development thing of writing out code and then going, oh yeah, it doesn't do it that way. Let's tweak it and let's do this or let's do that. So maybe that is true to life. It just makes it highlights question what it's doing. Right. So we've got this. So let's put our knitting back in again. Oh, look at that. So I'm wondering that malformed GUID, that must have been breaking it. So let's do slingshots. What else can we do? Let's do one more, just so we can start editing, delete. Let's just see if that works. Right. What did we say? We had knitting, slingshots, right? So computer gaming. Or video game. Let's do video gaming, because when I write computer gaming, I'm showing how old I am. Video gaming. Add hobby. Okay, so with to me, the camel case thing is like, okay, race car driving. Let's edit. Okay, so edit doesn't do anything. Like literally, you could even see in the browser debugger, it does nothing when I click that. So, clicking edit button next to a hobby does nothing. It should open a pop-up window to edit the name. So far we've had a little bit of a, like, it's been steady, it has been good. Even when using UUIDs, please refresh your browser and try editing a hobby again. Pop-up should now appear. So hopefully, because I just installed Brave, hopefully there's not a lot of pop-up blocker. Ooh. race car driving. That worked. Video gaming, capital G. And it's updating the JSON file. Okay, I'm actually, again, I'm not pro AI, I'm not anti AI. This is me in the middle of the fence, putting things together and figuring out along the way, okay, is this working? Right, so me, I've quit my hobby of race car driving now. Let's delete it. Delete this hobby. Yes. Okay, so it had already wired up the delete. Okay, right. So the next edit, I don't like how that looks. Like this. It should... Right, so we don't even need the GUIDs, do we, really? Like, we'll need them for the database, but we don't need to see them here. So, on the config page, it shows both the... I think it said it was using a UUID and name. The UUID does not need to be displayed. I am actually enjoying this. I am having fun. Refresh your browser to see the updated version. So let's go. Oh, let's see, that's looking nice already. Let's see if we can make it look right. So we got this. Make the config page look like a bee theme with black and yellow. This could go horribly wrong. You know what? One thing I haven't done, I should be using GitHub or something and checking this in. Config page now uses a bee theme with black and yellow colors. Refresh your browser to see the new look. If you want further style tweaks or a bee mascot icon, actually that might be fun. I'm thinking bees, hobbies, like the way my brain works. Empty cache and reload. Ooh. Okay, like it's not pretty, but it done it. There's a little bit of me that doesn't mind it, but that was just a fun tweak. Right. So this is all well and good, but all we're doing is adding hobbies. We need to add things to the hobbies. Right. So let's do this. The hobby names should link to a separate page for the hobby. The URL should be the UUID. No, it shouldn't. The URL should contain the UUID of the hobby. For now, just create a page that has the title items. there should also be a back button to go back to the config page. Is anyone else having fun? It would be interesting if anyone that's. I'm going to put my email address in the chat, look, or just comment on this video later. I'd be interested to know. And I'm not being your typical YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm just interested. If anyone watches this and just tries this out for themselves, like how much success or disappointment they get. Right, now clicking a hobby name on the config page will open a new items page. URL includes the hobby's UUID. The items page has a title and a back button to return to config. Right, the reason I wanted to use the UUID because as this progresses, I'm going to add a database to this. It's not always going to be JSON. So let's reload. Okay, so now we've got a link. And go back. Slingshots. Item. Oh. Back. Okay, I don't like the link. So instead of a link, can you make it a nice button like the edit and delete buttons? Now see, this is day one, by the way. I'm still going to keep going. But what I plan on doing, I'm going to, like, if I get an app that actually looks fairly decent, what I'm going to try and do is build an APK for an Android phone, see if I can actually get an Android app working from it as well. Because that would be interesting if I can get the web application working and an actual APK that you could install on Android. Refresh your config page. Right, so now we should see buttons. Okay. Not the biggest fan because, like, I don't know. Honestly, don't know about that design. Because it looks nice because, like, the buttons are sized to the words. I don't know. I don't know if I like that. It works for now. Like, this can be edits that we do down the line, but let's get things going. Right, so I'm going to click on knit in and we get items. Let's just make sure that GUID changes. Yep, so it is doing the right thing. Right. All right, when I refer to the hobby page, I am referring to the is it item or items? Items. Items slash UID page. On the hobby page should be on the hobby page it should display a list of all of the current item data. when there are no item, there will be an add new item button. So how are we going to do this? Let me have a think. So what I want is like you'd have the add new item, but it almost needs to be either generic or dynamic. Now what I mean by that is it would need to be either generic, as in it'd have like name of item, size, quantity, detail, like stuff like that, or have the ability to configure what the items are for each hobby. I think configuring. Be a button called config. This opens a window to allow for configuration of what fields will be on each item. This is so you would have a window that has field name, field type, so field name would be like, if we're doing slingshots, let's say latex. Field type, that would be like drop down list or something like that. So you'd have a window that has field name, field type, manufacturer, thinking like if we go with like, let's say knitting, and you're going to have like anyone who's into knitting is going to have lots of different types of yarn, and they may like be trying different like manufacturers so that they could keep track. So we'll add that later down the line. We're going to try and keep it simple. So we want to do field name, field type, I'm thinking through how to word this. So basically what I'm after, so look, we're going to come here, we're going to go knitting. So there will be a button here called config. You click that and it will do a pop-up and it's going to say like name of the field, later, let it be like a text box. Field type. I think that's it. So we do field name, field type the name would be text, name would be a string, and there should be validation that it is unique in the context of a hobby. So you could have the same name in different hobbies, but not in the same hobby. To make sure you don't add yellow yarn and then yellow yarn. Do I want that? Let's get rid of that. Name would be a string. Because thinking of that, so like what if this is a hobby application, let's go with the knitting. You could have yellow yarn from Paul's yarn shop, and then you could have yellow yarn from Yarn Yams Incorporated, whatever. So the manufacturer would also come into being part of that unique record. So the name would be a string. This is the name of the field within a hobby. The field type would be a drop-down box. Okay, let's call it the proper thing would be a combo box. Now, either I'm very out of date, or I believe it's still called a combo box. That contains values of the different field types that could be created. Those are text, combo, checkbox, radio buttons. I know there's more, but let's keep it simple. Let's keep it to those three. We can extend on that later. So if I add if I added name as text, type as a combo, good quality as check box, text integer, and quantity as integer, then the reloaded page would show 4 fields that I can complete to set up an item. Let's see how it deals with that. Yeah, from what I did a little play thing. As I say, at work I was like in part of the dev team, and we found, or I was taught that it's all in how you explain to the AI what it is you want. So the hobby items page now has a config button. Clicking it opens a window to add fields, name and type for each item, supported types, text, integer, combo, checkbox. Added fields will appear as a form below, ready. I get a feeling that's not going to do what I wanted. Okay, so config. Field name is item name. Quantity. It's an integer. Okay, so when adding items to a hobby, these should be written to the JSON file hobbies.json. So here's something, so don't assume that it's doing this. I have to tell it, well, when you do this, you need to be writing to the JSON, which is kind of correct. You don't want it to assume and start doing its own thing. Right, I've been going for an hour. I'm going to aim for 2 hours. So we've got about 45 minutes left. I'm going to be doing this again tomorrow, continuing on or adding more to this. Right, so let's reload. Item name and quantity is 6. Does anyone remember what we clicked in? Right, let's go back. Right, so knitting. Item name, yellow yarn. Quantity is 2. Okay, so... Okay, that's kind of okay. That is... Again, it's not pretty. It's not the best web app, but we're not after pretty at the moment. We're after something that works. Right, so let's have a think. Right, we need edit and delete buttons. Just like on the hobbies config page, can you create edit and delete buttons for each item? Edit and delete buttons. Okay, I want to align those edit and delete buttons. Edit and delete buttons should be right aligned. This could either go well or it could go horribly wrong. It may put those buttons like way over on the right, or I wonder if it's going to honour like that invisible margin. Refresh the page. What do we think? There we go. Had to reload a couple of times. So that actually looks pretty good. Again, when I say it looks pretty good, I'm not saying, oh, this is a great application. This is... There's a little bit of me that's wondering, like, on the main page, I don't know the wording for it. You know, you get like the little arrow and then you can sort of pivot it and it... Guess what was it like? So you'd have the knitting and you click the expand and it would expand and show you all the items. What do I want to add to this? This is, I mean, this is like basically the app. It's bare bones what I wanted. Right, so I wonder, right, so let's do config, field name, manufacturer, and that would be text, add, close. Okay. So we've got a bit of a bug here. I'll tell you what, let's give it a little copy to clipboard. I added another field from the config button and the labels go outside of the main box. Right here, so you can see this little pasted image there. So see, I'm showing it what I mean. So let's go with that. Ooh. Well, that didn't go quite as planned. Right, so let's stack. Right, so let's fix that. So instead of the field and type horizontally, let's stack them up. So list of field type, and the next row is the next field type, etc. Every time a new field is added from the config button, it should add at the bottom. So the config modal now stacks field and type inputs vertically. Yep, and each added field appears in a list below. New fields are always added to the bottom. This keeps the UI clean and readable, even with many fields. Refresh. Let's try. Oh, this was my old one, wasn't it? Right, so here we've got this. Let's run through a little test. Add hobby. Please fill out this field. Now that was nice. I didn't even ask for that, but if you just click, it says please fill it out. So hobby, soap making. Okay, so now we're going to click on soap making, and we're going to do config. Oh, it did it there. I was wondering what it did. So field name, my field 1. Field 2. Right, let's give it a better direction. Right, so on the items page, the my field 1 and my field 2 should be stacked vertically. going to float our mouse, so there. Let's see how it handles that. Right. Let's have a look. Right, so let's have a look. So we've got here, so let's see if we can help this out. Copy. So here's the bit where you're seeing where AI is not just going to do it. Like you need human intervention to do stuff. I'm reading the code and I'm going to give it a little helper and say, in this part of the HTML in the inspector, each field row should be a new row. They are currently next to each other. I think that's fair. Like I've pointed it to the HTML that is wrong, or I shouldn't say is wrong. Is not rendering correctly. So basically, we want that my field 1 and the field, and then we want my field 2 below it, so that it stacks them. Each field row in the item form will now always appear as a new row. Let's see if you're telling the truth. No. I had to undo that. For it to show. Undo that last change. Right, so it's pretty much it. I want the dot. I don't know if it accepts. Does it accept markdown? No. Dot field row to display stat. Right, so this is kind of so that from this description, it sounds like it's done what I'm asking now, with each field row stacked vertically, one row per field. Let's see. So if it's right, this my field 2 should come down here. Nothing changed. There. So, and I've pasted in that image showing that. And again, like just to remind, like this is me just doing it with AI. Like like I could go in and manually force it, like fix it, figure out why it's doing that, and fix it. The point of this is to get AI to do it. Right. So now each field, label input select, will now be on its own row, stacked vertically. See, before, and this is me being a little bit pessimistic, this is one of those things that makes me table flip over AI, the positivity of it. As you can read that, oh, it's now going to do that. I don't know. I'm not confident that it did do it. And it didn't. So see, here's where you start getting that, okay, like, print screen. And we're going to copy to clipboard. I'm just going to click keep on this. just to make sure, and we're going to hold down shift and right and left click. Right, so it's definitely not doing it. They are not on there. So you watch it, so be all positive. I've now done this. It will now show blah 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 blah. I'm not confident with that. I mean, it's got them there. It's made that neater for sure. So it's putting them. Should we just have it like that for now? Yeah, I'm getting to that point now of like, okay, yeah, it's like we'll figure that out later. Right, so let's do config. Let's do vendor. And I've got manufacturer, but because I'm playing around here. Combo box, add, close. Right, so if I create a type that is combo, then the first item in the combo list should be in italic and say add new. Let's put that in quotes. When this is selected, then open another pop-up window that allows a new value to be added to the drop down. This should of course be written to the selection options. Let's see how it handles that. Ice cream is a combo. Right, so delete item doesn't work. Let's fix that. Okay. Oh, it hadn't done it yet. Okay, so it's not deleting. Right, there's obviously bugs in this. Right, so let's do config. Let's do ice cream. Do a combo, add, close. Okay, if I add a combo field, it is not being displayed on the items pages. Okay, so this is good. So it is building that. It's going to be interesting. Now, I'm not doing it today, so probably tomorrow. I'm still doing some stuff today. I'm going to try and get to the 2 hours. But tomorrow or Wednesday, we'll try and get a database running for this. Now, question is, do I set up like Postgres and just go with that? Or shall I ask the AI to guide me through setting up Postgres? I do have a Postgres server, so I could just do that, but there's a little bit of me that's sort of thinking, okay, set up a database. Tell you what would be interesting as well. So at the end of this, let's say by the end of the week, because like I've got this week off, let's see if I can get the app working. Like, let's make sure all the buttons work and things. So we'll kind of leave it where it is, but I want to fix the buttons. But let's see if by the end of the week we can have a obviously a web application that's running, move it to a database instead of JSON, and an Android app. Now, I can't do Apple. I don't have any Apple products, so I wouldn't know how to do that to get an Apple thing. But the good thing is, but like doing it on Android, I have Android devices. I can just create an APK and I can just load that into. I've got a proper Android phone, and I have phones with like Lineage OS and stuff like that. So it'd be interesting to just load the APK directly into there. Right, the front end has been updated so that the field configuration is now always loaded. Oh, right, clear out the JSON file so I can test from scratch. Right, I just manually cleared that because I'm not going to piss around with it trying to clear out a JSON file. And we should add that. Right, so hobby knitting, add hobby, and that's broken. Right, so it recognised its issue there. Pages are not loading. Where's settings? Settings. I don't use Brave all the time. I just done it because it was the next browser that I could think that was clear. Let's make sure HTTP. That is not working. 27.0.0.1 port 8000. I'm just trying it on a separate browser. That is definitely not working. Is not starting. Never loads. Reset the JSON file so it is ready to accept new data from the front end. Is that not what I had before? Why does it keep going to items? Like, right, it seems like the config page will not load if the JSON is empty. Fix this, so see the main page. Okay, so it's asking me to restart. Let's do that. Knitting. Add hobby. Knitting. Config. Yarn color is a combo. So text. Adding items from the config button. The items page no longer writes to the JSON file. So we've been going nearly 2 hours and we've got somewhat of an app. Yes, fix it. So knit-in config name text1 text. Okay, so when I add fields using the config button, those are not into JSON or showing on the UI. Any developers out there watching this, I hope you're feeling more comfortable now about AI taking your job. See, these are the parts where a human would go in and just fix it. Right, let's have both. Fix it to persist and also add logging. I am still having fun. I am enjoying this. It's just, as you see, it's sometimes it's one step forwards, two steps back. Not a lot. I don't want to paint it as like this has been like all the time. There is good progress. One lesson, and I'm going to set up a GitHub. I've got a GitHub, of course, but I haven't sort of wired it up for this. I ideally be like committing these changes often, so that I can roll back to a version that did what I wanted. Okay. Serverlets, because that's not running. Oh, yes. See, this is good. You see, it was trying to restart and it saw the next error and has tried to fix it. And that's saying, are you sure? So when using AI, check up here. If you're using VS Code, there was only that one time up here. Right, here we go. Add new hobby, soap making, add. Okay, so far so good. Soap making poo. Let's just make sure the edit still works. Now we're going to get rid of soap making. We no longer do soap making. So far so good. Knitting. We're going to config. We're going to say droppy. Droppy. And we're going to do a combo. We're going to add close. Config. Text. Add. Let's give it a bit of guidance. Right. When I click on the config button on here, I can enter new fields, but they do not render or get written to the JSON file. And text add. Yes. Okay, so let's give it a suggestion. Maybe instead, when a combo box is created, there should be another JSON file to track the field name and all of the values entered into it for options on combo. Then in hobbies.json, just store the value that was selected. Does that make sense to anyone else? It does to me. Now, see, one good thing about using it in agent mode, like if you was doing this actually in ChatGPT, it gets really patronising. Goes, that's an outstanding idea. It's amazing. Like, okay, it seems to like that idea because it's just created combo options.json. Ooh, it's looking promising. See that? It just wrote that to there. So let's do an integer. In da, 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 da. A checkbox. Checky wecky. Config. Combi. Combo. Right, so we've got to this point. I think what we'd do, we'll hold here, because I want to check this in to a GitHub repo, and what I'll do is I'll schedule another one tomorrow the same time, so it'll be 10:30 Mountain. And what we're going to do is fix this so that the combo box shows. But let me just enter a name. Let's do numbers here. Dump 4, checky, save. Right, so the save item isn't working. Let's just quickly fix that. Save item is not working. Hopefully I don't regret that. Let's just give it that error. Still working on fixing this. Then definitely, I've got to stop after this one. I'm got to stop because Well, we've known from previous experience that JSON file just, yeah. Look, that's malformed. Look, it kept that in. Restart Venv and server. Continue. I just want the app to start up. I'm not going to test it. I just want to make sure that it starts. That seems to be correct. Knit in, add hobby. Okay, so it's broken. Add hobby no longer works. Holy shit. Is it going to recognize? So at the end of day one, I'm still in the middle. Did it make the development faster? Yes. There's no denying that. Did it make something that worked? Somewhat. And it just seemed like at one point it was like, oh, I just need this to change, and it just broke everything. So, end of day one things. Oh, GitHub straight away. Check in or commit stuff constantly, because You might ask for something like, as you saw if you go back in the video, or that when it started going awry, was all I was asking was those config bits to be stacked, and it went awry at that moment. It just all went to crap, and it started breaking things. Right, summarizing conversation history. Yeah, it does this every now and again. Now, also, I'm going to re-point out, just in case you're watching this and you start writing comments, oh, you're using 4.1 and 5 is out. I'm very much aware of that. What I probably will do on the second iteration of trying to build this app will be use Claude. Or I will pay for GPT-5. It's taken a long time to do this. See, this is where the wonders of video editing, because it's not sitting waiting for this. But the good thing about doing this live, and that's why I wanted to live stream it, is that you see everything I'm doing. There's no pausing and I could have done this, that and the other changes, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what you see is what you get. This is how it's working for me. And it seems to have given up. My head off the screen, it is. Sorry, I didn't realise my head was off the screen when I was leaning back like that. Right, I'll tell you what, I'll call this live stream here, because I'm just going to let this do its thing and leave it running. And as soon as this finishes, all I'm going to do is GitHub it and get it checked in so that tomorrow we can, or I can check in a lot more often.